just for the sake of it. Okay, we're now recording. So good evening both. Good evening, Kate. We've already said hello. This is just another catch up with you guys from the council on any progress, any sort of actions that have been taken since our last meeting a couple of weeks ago, and anything to do with that really, just a catch up. So Nigel, Joe, have you got any insights in anything that's happened?
I'll defer to Nigel on this one.
Yeah, okay. Well, several things have happened or are happening. Not necessarily if we're that much far forward, but I've sent a reminder to Jeremy Quinn. Oh, hang on, I've lost where I'm going. I've sent a reminder to Jeremy Quinn. I've also sent a further email to Michael Gove with a bit more information. And as a result of that, there's Peter waiting in the lobby. As a result of that, Michael is looking to organise a meeting with DIO, MOD, himself and myself and Joe. He's trying to do it early March. I've already been contacted by one of his researchers to see dates are available. So I'm hoping it's going to be in the first week of March. I think they're still trying to get confirmation from the MOD or DIO side. I've had an acknowledgement from DIO.
So is there a reason why we're not involved in that meeting, Nigel? Or we couldn't be?
Yes, at the moment, because it's to do with local DIO and it's the Parliament DIO and MOD that are controlling things. I think Michael wants to speak with the local MOD and DIO to sort out something before he pursues matters with Jeremy Quinn. I understand. I don't know precisely why. He's the one who's asked for the meeting with DIO, myself, Joe, himself, on the basis that a direct meeting with MOD and DIO is better than we've had with an MP before. I'm not going to push it. At the end of the day, we are the representatives of the parish, and we're the ones that Jeremy Quinn has authorised the MOD to deal with alone at the moment. I will continue trying to make it a wider remit, but at the moment I just really want to keep those avenues of dialogue open, because whilst they're still open, there's still hope.
Peter, you're muted, Peter. We can't hear you. I can see you waving. There you go.
Yeah. I'm a little bit confused, Nigel, because going back some months, we agreed we would try and work a joint approach. Even Michael Gove, when he wrote to Jeremy Quinn, asked him to get the DIO to talk to both Ash Parish Council and the action group, the campaign group. My main concern is that it's been proven before, and no doubt will happen again, is unfortunately there is not the understanding of the ranges and the problems and the history within those people that are going to participate if you don't have any representation from us. They're just going to sit there and say a load of waffle, and you will be in no position to be able to challenge anyone.
Well, I'm following to get the MP involved is obviously very important. He's the one that's going to be speaking to Jeremy Quinn, and he wants it to be that small group at the moment. Whether it gets extended once that meeting has happened, I don't know. The fact is that we all know, it's very clear that DIO and MOD in Parliament, Whitehall, are the ones that are pulling the strings at the moment. And I don't know what Michael Gove wants to talk to the local DIO and MOD about. I'm not privy to that at the moment, but the fact that he's including me in a meeting with them, it's positive as far as I'm concerned.
It just seems a little bit unhelpful, perhaps, that the meeting has been arranged with the local DIO and MOD
because, as we've found in the past, in fact, you've said in the past, Nigel, that the strings are being, well, you said just now that the strings are being pulled from the Whitehall MOD, and so the local faction has nothing to say to any of it. So I'm a little confused and disappointed that we may be going down yet another dead end with further delays. It is better than nothing, but it's not what we really want. And as Peter said, they will just come out with probably the same old waffle and obfuscation and lies, not to put too fine a point on it, as we've had up till now.
That's possible. The fact is, it's one of a number of strings that we're using, that I'm looking to use, and I am using at the moment. And this is a direct conversation with the MP and the DIO, as opposed to a wider Zoom meeting as happened in September. So I don't know the protocol, but I don't know whether Michael Gove, as a minister not for the MOD, has any right to ask for a meeting with Parliament or Whitehall element. So I think I don't know what the process is, but I can only assume he's trying to find direct from the horse's mouth what the issues are, so that he can represent us when he goes back to Jeremy Quinn.
Okay.
So it's not the only avenue.
So let me just clarify that. So who's organised that meeting? Sorry, Nigel?
Michael Gove is seeking to organise it.
Right, so I will email on behalf of Ash Rangers, now we know about that, and ask him for representation on our behalf, because I think that's only fair that we are involved in that meeting, because we have got the history, we have done the due diligence and the donkey work in terms of researching with the freedom of information. All that work's come from you. To block us out at this stage, I think, is detrimental to this process. And I'll make that clear to him and the people that have got.
That's fine. So I'm not blocking you out. I'm just trying to get.
Oh no, I didn't say that, did I?
I'm just trying to move forward to try and get a resolution.
That's fine, but I think it would be detrimental to that. We're only seeing part of the cause, utilising yourself and Joe, that have had little use of the freedom of information and that sort of thing. And we've got the history there that we should be involved.
Yeah, with all due respect, Nigel, is there any reason why you can't go back to Michael Gove and say, oh, by the way, we were supposed to be working together with the campaign group?
I can go back and say we've had this discussion, and I don't know where the meeting with the MOD is going, but suggest or point out to them that you've asked whether you can be involved in this meeting or perhaps a subsequent meeting. Specifically, I can go back and ask him that.
I'm bound to say, Nigel, that I don't mean to be rude, but you have not got any background knowledge that you can actually sit at a table, and when some of the things are brought up from the DIO, you are not in a position to be able to challenge them. We're going to start going around in multi-circles again, because they say A, you say, oh, I didn't know about that, and then we find out what they said about A was actually totally wrong. It should have been B, and we just go back to the same situation.
No, I do hear what you're saying. I don't disagree with you. So I
would like to actually try and rather than just say to Michael, that we've asked. I would like to think that you could actually say that, in your view, it would be appropriate for this campaign group to accompany the Ash Parish Council at the meeting. That's what I would think if we were working together in fellowship. That's the sort of thing I would be expecting from you good self.
It's what I would, when I send the email, because I don't know exactly where he's going with this one, I will make that point.
Okay, thank you.
We'll see what happens. I will make that very point.
And I think if you ask the question, Nigel, and if Carl also writes to Michael and asks, says the same thing, that we're supposed to be working together, as Peter says, then hopefully he'll see that we are all singing from the same hymn sheet, and that we want to be part of this process wherever it is intended to be going. And the way that we will know where it's going is to be part of it. Did you say that Jeremy Quinn is going to be part of the meeting as well?
No,
No. Okay.
no, it's only a meeting because Michael Gove originally contacted me and asked for the contact details for the MOD and DIO head honchos, as it were, which I forwarded to him, and he's made contact with them direct. And then I've been copied into that request for a meeting. So that's where we are at the moment. But I'll do what we just discussed about talking to them, and just say it would be useful if at least one member or two members of the group were involved for the the widespread information and knowledge that you hold. And
it's about openness, isn't it? It's about the transparency. We don't want discussions that we're not privy to about the future of an area that we hold dear to our hearts. And I think as much as we want to be there, I think as long as we've got transparency of recordings, or at least the discussion that goes on, because that's
there won't be any recording of that, as far as I understand. And I don't know where it's going or what the content.
Well, even more so that we need to be there, Nigel. If it's not going to be recorded and it's not going to be open, then we need representation there, because with all due respect, we need someone that understands the local area, knows where Henley Gate is, and those sort of things that we've not had from the councillors so far.
Okay. You made your point several times. I'll do what I can on that front.
Okay, that's fine. Like we said, I'll email him as well.
Yeah. I've had an acknowledgement to the letter that I sent to DIO Parliament, and they've basically reiterated their standpoint, and that's what I copied to Michael to say I've just received this, because it's come direct from DIO. I don't believe it's actually the official response from Jeremy Quinn MP. I think it's just them acknowledging it, basically, and reiterating what they originally said before in a shorter format.
Is there any discussion around the points you raised explicitly about the differences?
No, just basically said that the MOD have made the decision to shut the firing plates, and that they had no they had no thoughts of reopening them, basically. So it was
still no evidence.
Very unhelpful, to be honest.
Okay.
They've just completely blanked us again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it was just an automatic acknowledgement, although someone actually did they actually put words together, but it was a reiteration of the previous letter, which clearly had been given to Jeremy Quinn back in December. It was just a lot shorter, saying, we've made the decision. It's in our ambit, and therefore that's where we are. And it's been made. The decision's been made for very good reasons. But anyway, that's what I sent it to Michael, and just basically reiterate the issue that there are a lot of people that need the flatness of the firing plates to walk on, who cannot manage the perimeter path. And on the path issue, I did receive another email from someone in DIO who is undertaking, I think he's a contract manager. He certainly works for DIO, but he basically sent an email saying that the contractor had been appointed. They had gone through risk assessment and whatever they needed to do, and the work was commencing on improving the perimeter path last Monday. So we've asked for specific maps and information, exactly what they're going to do, where they're going to be doing it, and I suspect we're going to have a little wander up there at some stage to have a close inspection about what's going on. You mentioned
even that, Nigel, when they've said that was all in hand this time September. In the September timeframe, they said that was all in hand and agreed and to be done before spring. They're just starting it now. Seems a bit and just allocated contracts now is a bit ambiguous, isn't it?
Well, the fact is, I don't know their processes. They got the funding. They had the funding approved for next year. We said next year's too late, and they got the next year's funding moved to this year. They said subject to the weather, they would look to get it finished by the 31st of March. I don't know what their tendering process is. So all I know is that at least they told me that in fact it was continuing. It was starting to be done. The contractor's compound was there, and they were starting work, say, last week. And we're waiting. I'm waiting for further information about exactly what they're going to be doing, where it's going to be done, just to make sure we understand exactly what they're proposing to do. But it doesn't help those people who can't walk around the path.
It's very strange that they built those two bridges out last September time, and that's all that was done. So there must have been something in place for that to have happened, and they did a bit of clearing as well, and then nothing happened for months, and it just became a quagmire. Which so it seems rather odd to say that the contracts are only now have only recently been awarded.
All I know is it's the contracts for the path, so I don't know about the clearance or the bridges. I don't know how they work in terms of which contractors have been appointed, whether it's Landmark or whether it's gone out to a separate contractor. I've no idea on that. I've got no control over that. All I know is that we pressed them that it had to be done this year and not next year, because it was absolutely useless. That's all we can do. Sorry, Joe, you put your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to come back on the bridges. It's just a thought, and I may be totally wrong, but the work done on the bridges and the clearance work, which Kate's referred to, I wonder if that was done under the original smaller amount of funding which was made available, and that the additional work to the perimeter path will come under the increased funding. It's just a thought. I don't know whether it's right or not.
No.
Yeah, possibly. It seems a strange way of working. That's all I'm saying.
It's strange to me that we don't know what they're planning. I thought we were, this was a partnership between you and to decide on where the routes were, etc. And you sounds like you've got no information about the plans that are afoot.
Well, the plan is the perimeter path. The perimeter path is already there, and the plan was that they would improve that perimeter path to make it wide enough with compacted surface, in consultation with a national disability group who gave them advice, and they were going to put the path in. That's the information. So it's
but I was just referring to, you said originally that you've asked for maps and understanding of what they're going to do.
I want to know exactly what they're going to do, because whilst we said we want the path improved, and they've said that, we've never actually gone into the detail, apart from saying it's going to be compacted concrete or compacted surface of some sort. Yeah, some sort of scalpings and things. We're just trying to clarify exactly what they're doing, where they're doing it, so that to a degree we can actually go and check to make sure it's being done properly or being done.
But they issued you a map last year, didn't they, Nigel?
We've had a map of the perimeter path. We haven't had a map of...
I think we need to be careful when we talk about a perimeter path. The perimeter is 12.5 miles long. Are they going to put a path all around it? Because they said that which enable us to be able to walk all the way around the RDA. That's 12.5 miles.
No, it's not walking around the RDA. It's being able to get to the RDA, walking around the firing complex. Totally separate thing. The RDA is the whole of the firing range. That's the bit beyond and where they do the firing. The Ash Ranges firing complex is where the ranges are. It's where they do the firing.
Oh, I know
where the targets are. They're totally different. All right, they're not going to put a path all around.
Okay, Nigel, but I would encourage you to go back and look at the statements that were given to you good guys in the council by the MOD and what you published about the perimeter path, because it was said it should enable the people to be able to enjoy the RDA whether they're firing or not. Now that must mean being able to go around the outside, because if they're firing, you can't go anywhere else other than Furze Hill. So my understanding at this moment in time, the only pathway that they're doing is the bit that extends from just over the road from the Swan. It will go down to the canal. They're going to crop off the corner from their workshop so they can get something around it. They'll then go around by the Flash and then end up by the gate that goes down towards Ashvale Station. I believe that's all they intend to do.
Right, well, that's what we're trying to ascertain, exactly what they are doing, and check the understanding that we had at that stage. We need to double check that what they're actually saying they're going to do is actually sufficient to actually meet the criteria for the perimeter path. But that's to me that's a secondary issue to do compared to getting access to that part of the firing complex, which is obviously another major issue. So
that's absolutely right, and that's obviously our priority. But just before we leave the issue of the perimeter path, bearing in mind what Peter's just said, if the perimeter path is to enable people to access the RDA when the flags are down, then the bit that goes from effectively the main gate by the Swan going north up towards the gate at Ashfield Station, which is Furze Hill, is that right?
Yeah.
That's only half of it, because what about the bit going the other way? There's a very long bit that goes from the main gate going south and then going up towards Normandy Hill Gate, which is the first one that's open.
Yeah, past the doctors, etc. is all
going round the other way, and that's a very, very difficult bit to get through. I walked it about 3 weeks ago.
That's what I'm trying to ascertain, because the initial suggestion was that the work they were going to do was going to be from the first aid station, isn't it? What was the St John's first aid to the left, which is probably north, I think. Yeah, that way. And that the other way was tarmacked area and not needing improvement. And I went back and said, I'm not quite sure that's actually the case. And that's why I've asked.
I took a lot of photos when I walked there the other day. I'll send you some.
So
I mean, I was up to my wellies in mud.
That's why I've asked exactly. I was up there. I was up there last weekend to have a nosy around, and to be honest, where I was, it was just mud. So I'm not too sure where the idea is of that. So that's why I need to have a.
Can I just point you to Ash Ranges Update 3 on the Ash Parish Council? That very much clearly states there is a black line all the way around, apart from 2 bits that are not joined up. One being by the doctors up towards the council, and the second part being at Long Downhill. So that's what you've published as being created and available as the aspirational, and we need to understand, I think, what's included within that, and the width and the regulations that are going to be applied. You know, you're saying about the disability access, so what conditions are going to be made on that path to understand the maximum incline and the details. I'm sure there's lots of considerations there that I would expect the council to hold them to account for.
Part of the consideration was there were apparently some quite steep inclines, and part of what they said they were going to do was to change a minor change to the route of the path in order to try and level out some of those inclines, which is why I've gone back and asked for specific maps and information about what they're going to do and where they're going to do it, just to make sure. So that's that side of it, and when that comes back, hopefully I'll have had a response during this week to that. I understand that a letter was sent from Guildford Borough to the MOD and the MOD have responded, or did respond. I'm still trying to find a copy of that communication both ways at the moment, so that may well shine some sort of light on what was actually asked about and what they came back and said. I've also just called up.
Sorry, what's that regarding, Nigel? I don't understand.
Well, you said last time we met that you felt that the Guildford Borough and Surrey County Council should be looked at, see what they can do. So I made the inquiries.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
Have Guildford Borough written to the MOD, and what can county do? So,
right. Sorry. I just didn't quite understand that. I thought that was just a letter out of the blue from Guildford Borough to the MOD, but that's unprompted by yourself.
It's unprompted by myself. I don't know what it said or what the response was or how it was worded.
Thank you.
I did contact Tim Oliver, Surrey County Council, sending him a copy of the letter that I sent to Jeremy Quinn for his information and other bits and pieces. He thanked me and said he'd get his officers' legal team to have a look and see what the situation was. He came back last week and said officers have now looked into this and have confirmed that the MOD is the landowner and that the land is partly managed by Surrey Wildlife Trust. The majority of the area is designated as a site of special scientific interest and forms part of the European designated Thames Basin Heath Special Protection Area. As the landowner and the fact that it is not common land, the MOD have the authority to control activities and any permitted rights of access. And he went on and said, I agree their stakeholder and community engagements have not helped the situation. So that's the response I've got from Tim Oliver after having gone to his officers' legal team to look at the situation.
But there wasn't. That's not. We've already said about. It would more likely be a political resolution to this. He's not willing to support any sort of political interest at that point. Or is that not something
he does say that he says, unfortunately, we do not have any authority in this area, but I will speak to Michael Gove on this issue. So obviously the pressure is being put by County Council on Michael as well, who would obviously push that situation onto Jeremy Quinn. So clearly, I did do what I said I would do. And,
yeah, thank you.
There's another sort of avenue opening up there for pressure. So I think that's all I've got to update you on now, because quite a bit has happened, albeit don't seem to be a great deal forward. But at least the path is being started. Whether or not the full amount is as we anticipate, we will see once we get the documents and see exactly what's happening. That's it, really.
Okay. From our side, I sent an email to Gregory Yeoman, who is the chair, not the chair, who is the secretary, effectively, of the Guildford Joint Committee, and I've asked for a question to be raised at that next meeting, which is the 17th of March. I haven't had any feedback from him apart from acknowledgement.
Fine. Yep. Well, that obviously joint committee is a committee, but for effective of Guildford Borough and Surrey County Council, covers a wide range of issues. Any avenue is worth a try.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's fine. I know that Joe is on that committee, so hopefully we can have some support in if that comes up as if we should. Let's just try and see if we can at least raise it there, and we can ask for their support.
I'll look out for that. Thank you.
You'll be at that meeting, will you, Joe, on the 17th?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
When's that meeting? Next
17th.
meeting, June?
17th March. Yeah. I think it's the next formal one.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that the kind of meeting that members of the public can attend?
I think
Yes.
so. Yeah.
Yes, normally the first half. Well, it used to be the first half hour of that meeting was public questions. I don't know if it still remains the same, Joe.
Yeah, that's the way it normally goes. Yeah,
And
it's normally
there
public
is-
questions, petitions, etc. And then it goes on to the formal agenda items. Which
But quite often there are written questions asked as well.
Yeah.
Which there is quite often a written answer. And then if you're there, you then have the opportunity to ask a supplementary based on your original question and the answer that you've been given.
Yeah, that's the advice I've been given. So that's what we're going with. We're hoping to get it on the agenda for discussion, and obviously a written included in the minutes as a written response.
It's usually the case that the sort of the original written question and the written answer is fairly sort of unexceptionable, and then you go in and hit hard with the supplementary questions if you can get that far. That seems to be the way of trying to do it. So Carl, when will you know whether your question is going to be asked?
I don't know. I think that the deadline is 10 days before, so
Right.
it'll be the 7th of March that when they will make a decision.
Have you asked
the agenda?
Have you put the question in writing already to them, or just say you wanted to ask a question?
No, I have put the question in writing to them.
Okay. I see no reason why it wouldn't be on that agenda then, to be honest.
No, I agree with you, because the agendas haven't been exactly full in the ones I've seen, and the minutes. So I'm expecting whether there is some other political reasons why it doesn't get included, or non-political reasons, is another thing. But that's just for information, really. So
it would be useful, perhaps, if when we know that the question is going to be asked, that we put it out to the action group, so that
of course, yeah,
we can all attend as well.
of course.
And then they can see the sort of the strength of feeling just by the people who are there.
That was all from me, from our side, really. Is that obviously we continue to lobby, but there's not been any other actions that we can let you know of.
So things obviously, responses are coming back and movement is being there. How the proposed meeting pans out, I've no idea. I will do an email as soon as this meeting's finished to Michael based on what we've discussed earlier.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Anything else for anyone? Any more for anyone?
No, I don't think so.
No, nothing from me.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem at all.
Peace and Kate, do you want to just hang on for a little minute?
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks,
Thank
Carl.
you, Joe. Thank you, Nigel.
Stay safe.
Good
Thank
evening,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
And
Stop
I'll just
recording.
do the stop recording.